Building lean muscle is very challenging. It's very hard to do, but you can gain 5 pounds of muscle in 60 days. In fact, it's probable if you follow the following tips. We're going to give you the instructions. The next 60 days, you do what we say. Many of you will gain 5 pounds of lean muscle mass by the end of this experiment. Let's get into it.
This is fun to talk about right now. You and I just flip-flopped groups yesterday.
Yes.
So, because you hadn't been in the weight loss, I had been in the weight loss one, and then so yesterday was my first day with the muscle gain group, and we are currently at 500 calories plus right now, getting ready to take them to 800. I think week 9 or so, something I can't remember. But good top of mind stuff to talk about this right now, because there some of the challenges this presents for some people, and a lot of times, or at least a lot of people that I've talked to that struggle with this, a lot of it has to do with the calorie intake.
Yes. Yeah. Let's start there. But just to back up for a little bit, like gaining muscle is difficult. Like gaining lean, now 5 pounds on the scale is not hard to do, but actual lean tissue, 5 pounds, what that equates to, just to give people an idea, for a man, that would be about a ½ an inch on your arms. Okay, so your arms would get bigger by ½ an inch with about 5 pounds. That's typically what happens. So 5 pounds of lean muscle is significant, especially in 60 days. The reason why people often don't build that kind of muscle, number one, it's hard. And number two, there's a few key components that tend to be missing. They tend to do 1 or 2 of them and then miss the rest. And so the body just doesn't respond. So it becomes very, very difficult. But what we're about to talk about for a lot of people, now, if you're really advanced and you're already hitting close to your genetic limit, this might happen for you. But if you're in the first, 4 to 5 years of your training, you could probably do this. Now, it does start with calories. Yeah. And I find this to be, for women in particular, the most challenging, is that they're just not eating enough. You can do everything perfect, but if you're not feeding yourself enough nutrients, enough calories, your body has nothing to get to build the muscle with. It won't, because there's nothing there to do it with. It's like giving a construction crew instructions to build a house and they're left with no lumber, no sheetrock, no nails. They can't build the house. So what you need to do is find out what your maintenance caloric intake is, which this is essentially what you've been averaging for the last couple weeks. And then consistently, every single day, go 500 calories above this. And in my experience, 500 calories above maintenance, for many people, sometimes it's a little more depending on a person's genetics, but around 500 calories above maintenance consistently tends to lead to pretty lean muscle gain.
That weekly tracking is the best way to do it. I mean, I've heard people use the body gym and try to get this basal metabolic rate.
It's always inaccurate.
It's just all over the place. I wish there was easy to really pinpoint that right away, but to just be as consistent as possible each week and kind of tracking your tendencies with that.
I was going to ask what you guys thought of like doing this without tracking, because there was some people on there that was asking questions around there, and it's just, I find when you're at a plateau like this or you're struggling to do this, and many times you think, it's funny how it's the same with someone who's trying to lose weight. Yeah, you tend to overestimate what you're eating when you're trying to bulk, and the reverse is true when you're trying to cut. And so I think that it's paramount to tracking. If this is something you really want to do, especially if you're talking about doing it in 60 days, a short period of time, the consistency around hitting that surplus is so important, because what you tend to find, what people think they are, when you zone out or zoom out, you look at their entire week or month, it's like they have you had some days where you were high, but then you had other days where you're below, and then you average out at your maintenance, and that has a lot to do with the plateau.
In my experience, what'll happen with women with this is they'll think they're eating above maintenance, but they're not, because they're afraid. And then with guys, they'll go way over, and then gain a lot of weight on the scale, not the lean body mass that they're looking for. So a good second best, and it is second best, because first best is track, get your average over the last 2 weeks. Now you know your average caloric intake, and go 500 above that and be consistent. A second best would be, what you generally eat on a regular basis, add a 500 calorie meal to that. So if you eat kind of the same every week or every day, just add an extra 500 calorie meal, and that'll get you somewhat there. It's not perfect. It's not nearly as good as the first step that we said, but that'll do it for some people, especially if you eat the same stuff.
This is another example. I know we talk about whole foods always first, but this is another example of where shakes can come in. If you're really consistent with eating like kind of the same meals like a lot of people are, and you don't consistently say do a shake right before bed or first thing in the morning, just adding that to the diet. That's a 500 calorie shake that you can make, which is normally a fun, tasty shake, is an easy way to kind of do it also if you don't already do that.
That's right. Next is to sleep for 9 hours every night. So in other words, go to bed early enough so that your wake up time is 9 hours later. Now, I know what the studies say that you need about 8 hours of sleep, but if you don't give yourself that buffer, then you're probably not going to get 8 hours of sleep. Like if you go to bed at a time where your wake up is 8 hours later, you're probably going to get more like 7.5 hours, or maybe less if you have trouble falling asleep. So 9 hours, and be consistent with this. This, especially for younger people and people with kids, but typically younger people in their 20s who are like, I want to gain muscle, they screw this up all the time.
That's a big commitment.
This is huge.
But it's a big priority that will pay off. And that's the thing, especially when you're trying to build muscle. It's like, dude, that's the entire process is literally the recovery of it is during your sleep.
Yeah, I've had clients who were in their 20s where all we did was this. They're college kids, and I'm looking at their schedules.
It made a huge difference.
And I'm like, look, I remember one kid in particular, he was college, going to play baseball and wanted to gain some muscle in the off season. And I said, let's do this for 30 days. I said 9 hours, 30 days. Go to bed at this time, wake up at this time. He's like, oh, that's going to suck or whatever. So like, do you want to gain muscle? Yes. Okay. Let's do this. Just 30-day challenge. He got so much stronger in that 30-day period. It was ridiculous. It blew his mind. He's like, I had no idea it played this big of a role. Now on the flip side, poor sleep will kill gains. You'll lose muscle with poor sleep. And poor sleep is one of the highest risks of injury. You have a bad night of sleep, your risk of injury doubles. So almost nothing you can do. There's almost nothing you can do that'll increase your risk of injury, like having poor sleep.
Do you attribute that to more the balancing of the hormones, or what Justin said, just flat out recovery?
All of it.
I mean, it is all of it.
Everything.
But would you lean more to the other one or the other? Would you say like, oh man, for sure? It's how bad does like one night of sleep do for like hormone optimization? How bad does that throw somebody's cortisol and tank your testosterone?
Well, a man's testosterone.
All those things are very important to building muscle.
Yeah, one night of poor sleep. I think I've seen studies like this where they'll have men go 5 or 6 hours of sleep and their testosterone will drop something like 30%.
Wow.
Yeah, it reacts that much with one poor night of sleep.
Right.
And by the way, you asked about hormones versus sleep. You can see people whose hormones are optimized with hormone replacement therapy, but they get poor sleep. It's like nothing. It's not doing anything for them. They can't build any muscle, even though they're on hormone optimization.
So it's almost a wash.
Yes,
because of that.
And then of course there's it impacts your hormones significantly. Impacts how sensitive you are on insulin. Insulin sensitivity for muscle gain is extremely important. Insulin is very anabolic. We think of testosterone and growth hormone as anabolic. Insulin is actually the most anabolic hormone. And when you're insulin sensitive, your muscle bellies are full. The insulin drives amino acids into muscle for repair and building. Protein synthesis goes through the roof. Poor sleep destroys that. Mm-hmm. So 9 hours every single night. If you want to do this 5 pounds of muscle in 60 days, this has to be an everyday thing. Okay. Next up, protein. We talked about calories. Aim for 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So 1.25.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is for a guy who needs to, weighs 200 pounds. You're looking at 225 grams of protein a day, more than what we would normally recommend. Yeah. Now, there's some evidence that shows that a little more might even be better, but we're trying to push the envelope here. We're trying to gain 5 pounds of lean muscle in 60 days. I say go for it. I also know people tend to miss.
Yeah.
Even when I say one.
I think that's why
let's go higher.
This is why I think this tip is so important, is because it's the people that struggle with this tend to also struggle with consistently hitting protein, just the 1-to-1 ratio. Mm-hmm. So pushing, I even would give clients like this a 1.5. Yeah. Wow. Because I know that there's going to be days that they're going to fall short. So hopefully when we fall short, we still get a 1-to-1. And so we're still in the good range. But you give someone like a 1-to-1 and it's inevitable they're going to have a few days where they miss, and then we're missing out.
Sounds like the 500 you're adding really should be the high focus.
I mean, that's
protein.
That's why I like the idea of a protein shake as being kind of the
like
source.
A 50 gram shake
50 grams. Yeah,
like
the majority of what you're getting.
Yeah, good tasting 50 gram protein shake. This is an example of where I like to use shakes like that. I know, again, we promote whole foods, I think, for overall health, but when it's like, hey, I want to try to put 5 pounds on a muscle in 60 days, I want to get you protein higher and I want that extra calories, I think doing that is just one of the easier ways to do it.
Today's giveaway is MAPS Aesthetic. To win, leave a comment below this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, do all those things, and if you win, we'll let you know in the comments section. We also have a sale. MAPS 15 is 50% off. Now, this isn't some random quick workout routine. It's a fully structured program that solves the #1 fitness problem, staying consistent. With MAPS 15, you'll get short 15-minute daily workouts that you can stick to. They build muscle, they burn body fat. It's just 15 minutes a day, and you can do them at home with minimal equipment, or if you want to use barbells and dumbbells, there's a version in that for those as well. Head over to mindpumpmedia.com/MAPS-15-minutes and use the code MUSCLE50 at checkout for the 50% off. I talked about this before, but there was a summer where my parents were in Italy and I was a kid. I stayed at my grandmother's house, and my grandmother, God bless her soul, she, traditional Italian grandmother, she'll cook whatever you want. I remember she sat down with me, Salvatore, you're going to be with me all summer. What do you like to eat? And I said, steak. She was like, that's it? I said, yeah. She made me steak for breakfast. She made me steak for lunch. She made me steak for dinner. Now, keep in mind, I think 16 years old, and I was eating a lot up in this point. At this point, I realized I needed a lot of food, but I wasn't hitting my protein. And I'll never forget the muscle and strength that I gained in that 2-month period. It was like 10 pounds. It was. And now, of course, I'm a 16-year-old kid. I have a lot of room to grow. But I remember thinking there was something magical about the steak. And then I did the math, and I'm like, oh, I'm eating like 200 grams of protein a day. And before, even though I had high calories, closer to like 120 grams of protein, because a lot of it comes from carbs.
That was me too.
And fat.
Same thing.
Yeah. Your workout. Let's talk about your workout. In my experience, for most people, a good 60-day build muscle mass routine is full body 3 days a week. This is just, generally speaking, now this isn't the workout you do for the rest of your life, but this is a muscle building routine. I can't think of a more effective muscle building routine that I would apply to most people than this right here. And what it looks like is one exercise per body part. And you're going to start with, and typically focus on the compound list, but you're going to start with, deadlift or a squat or some kind of a press. And you're doing that 3 days a week.
It's the most impactful exercise for that body part, which is, I love that as a priority, because now too, it's like we don't need to cram in all these accessory lifts to complement that. We just have to put all our energy and emphasis and intensity around these compound lifts.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this also highlights the importance of the recovery and the balance of volume and intensity. I think many times when you are driven to build more muscle, the kind of go-to lever everybody does is more volume, more training, more days of lifting, more arm days, more this. And it's just like, that's in recovery and rest is as important, if not significantly more important. And this, I remember one of the biggest plateaus I ever broke through was taking my 7-day-a-week routine and cutting it down to just like 4 or 5 days, just giving myself those extra 2 days of rest. I blasted through a plateau, and more is not always better. And in pursuit of building muscle, the recovery and rest part is as important.
My path to creating MAPS Anabolic started in my late 20s. Keep in mind, I'd been lifting already for years, trying to build muscle, always trying to build muscle. And I read this book called Dinosaur Training. It's an old muscle building book. And that in the way that the guy recommended strength training was 3 days a week, full body. Then I looked up, athletes, strength athletes from the turn of the century. They all trained this way. And by the way, you look at the feats of strength these guys did, and it was insane. And by the way, this was before supplements, let alone anabolic steroids, existed. And I, for the first time in my life, by the way, I had been reading up until now, every muscle magazine said a good beginner muscle building routine is 3 days a week, full body. But because I said beginner, I thought, well, that's not me. I'm advanced, so I'm going to do the 6-day-a-week split. Well, I switched. I switched to full body 3 days a week, and I saw the best gains of my life. After I had been already lifting weights for 12, 15 years, I had built the most muscle backing way down, doing 3 days a week, one exercise per body part, 3 sets per exercise, 9 sets total per week per body part. I had phenomenal, got stronger and built more muscle than I ever had in my entire life.
I think that story highlights too the reason why MAPS Anabolic is still our flagship product and why so many people have had so much success, because I think
it's based off that.
If you listen to a fitness podcast, there's a good chance you probably already lift weights. And I think a lot of other people had that same exact experience. I had that same experience too. The first was going down to 7 to 5, and then eventually was going down to 3, and 3 full body gave me the best gains I've ever had in my life.
That's right. Next up, here's the focus. Get stronger on the big 4. Get stronger on squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press. You can throw in barbell rows, pull-ups if you want. Here's the deal. You're not going to gain 5 pounds of muscle without getting stronger. It's not going to happen. But if you get a lot stronger, odds are, and you're feeding yourself, odds are you're going to gain the 5 pounds of lean muscle. Strength is the metric that you're going to focus on, not the scale. The scale can lie, especially when you're trying to gain weight, where you can start to gain body fat and water, and you think you're moving in the right direction. I'm going to tell you right now, if you gain 0 strength and you gain 5 pounds on the scale, you probably didn't gain muscle. No. Probably.
You have to be doing everything right to really increase strength and see that continually kind of improve. So yeah, it's a good indicator that the rest, recovery, everything else is accounted for.
And your point earlier you made, this is your biggest bang for your buck movements right here. This is going to pile on the most amount of muscle in the shortest period of time.
That's right. Next up, let's talk about supplements, creatine. There is no better, natural, healthy muscle building supplement than creatine. Take 10 grams a day. Break it up into probably 3 servings though. For most people, 10 grams in 1 serving is going to cause some digestive distress. So for some of you, 10 grams all at once is totally fine. But if you start to get digestive issues like bloating or diarrhea or whatever, 3 grams a few times a day will give you this. And 10 grams, in my experience, tends to work better than just 5 grams for muscle building. I know the data shows 5 grams. There's more cognitive benefits once you go higher than that. Let's go for 10. Let's go for 10, but split it up.
I was going to say that's a relatively new recommendation from you, because typically if you go back to listen to us talk about this before, you've probably heard us recommend 3 to 5.
That's right.
Yeah.
So. Now, I've changed my mind on this because the data on cognitive benefits shows higher.
Yep.
And here's the deal. When we talk about muscle strength, athletic performance, like you're trying to lift heavier, whatever, your central nervous system plays a huge role, and the seat of the central nervous system is your brain. This is why taking a stimulant will make you suddenly stronger. Your muscles didn't get any bigger. Your brain is firing differently. So it makes sense to me that we're going to also feed the brain if we're trying to build muscle, if we're trying to get stronger. So 10 grams a day is now what I would recommend for something like this. Next up is the tempo. The tempo at which you lift. Nobody does this. Yeah. This is called a 4-2-2 tempo. This has been shown in the data in head-to-head comparisons to build the most muscle. Now, this isn't the only tempo you should ever train in. There's value in all the different tempos, especially if you've been stuck in one for a long time. Yeah. But I can pretty much guarantee 85% of the people watching or listening to this don't use this tempo. Use it. This is a 4-second negative, 2 seconds at the bottom, 2 seconds up. Yeah. So it's 4-2-2.
It emphasizes all 3 contractions, and so it really helps you to understand like how to control that lift and squeeze out as much performance from your muscles as possible.
This is one of my favorite go-tos. Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember when I first read that, and then I like just observed. I mean, and if you're listening right now and you're in the gym, like literally just look around right now and observe the people that are doing lifts and count their tempo and show me somebody who does like a true 4-2-2. So even though it's like the most optimal tempo, yet you never see anybody do it, highlighted to me quickly, like, oh, there's an opportunity right here. Even when I get like an advanced lifter who hired me, it would be like, have we done this? And then I would make them on a very strict 4-2-2, and right away we saw results.
Yeah, sometimes this is all you need to change for some people. Next up, cardio. Yeah, I know we're talking about muscle building. Don't do it except for walking. So lots of cardio will interfere with this signal that we're trying to send, but we do want to stay healthy. And I think walking is great, especially after meals, right? Why walk after meals when we want to build muscle? If we improve insulin sensitivity, which is what happens when you walk after a meal, you will get more of those nutrients to your muscle. Here's what happens when you're moving your muscles, when you're flexing, contracting your muscles. There's something called the GLUT4 receptor that moves to the surface of the muscle cell, and it attracts glycogen and sucks in amino acids. You want insulin sensitivity when you eat. The more sensitive you are to insulin, the more your muscle bellies are going to fill out with glycogen, the faster you're going to recover. In fact, bodybuilders, and I'm not recommending this, bodybuilders will take insulin with a post-workout meal. In fact, many people believe this is how bodybuilders got so big in the 90s, is started to figure out how to use insulin. This is why they suddenly got 20, 30 pounds more muscle. So I'm not suggesting that at all. Don't give yourself diabetes. But after your meals, especially after a big meal, do a 10-minute walk, and that will help facilitate recovery and muscle growth. So this is for insulin sensitizing.
I mean, I was going to shout out the bodybuilders on this because I think this is something that they've been practicing for a really long time. I don't know if we communicated it the best as far as like what was happening from a scientific or physiological standpoint. But the other thing I would put in here that I would be categorized is like this is where you put these little micro workouts or trigger sessions too. So, and that's an old
like body weight squats, and push-ups,
do some band curls right after a meal. So obviously I would default to bare minimum walk for the digestion and the point you make, or do some little band trigger sessions right after you eat too would be phenomenal.
And then finally, do deep static stretching post-workout. So this is static stretching is where you hold a stretch for 30 to 60 seconds or longer. You breathe slowly, you relax, it's painful, and it's especially effective when you're stretching a muscle that is pumped. There's some evidence to suggest that this leads to more muscle growth, better ranges of motion later, and probably hypertrophy. So while at the end of your workout, end it with 10 to 15 minutes of really deep, slow, static stretching of all the muscles you just worked. This will kind of tip you over the edge. And again, if you follow all these things consistently, like if you do these things daily and you're consistent for 60 days, a 60-day challenge, you're going to see some lean body mass gains. Many of you will see it close to about 5 pounds.
Oh, especially if you apply all these. Because
That's right. This all works together, by the way. If you just do one of these, you're not going to see what we're talking about.
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of people that there's probably at least a handful of these that you could probably implement, and that alone is probably going to show the difference.
Yeah. All right, I got an interesting study to bring up for you guys. It's a little controversial, and I'll tell you why it's controversial. But check out this study. There was a global study of 128,000 people. This was published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine.
Oh, is this the one I sent you?
Which one?
Yeah, I sent it to you. This is I just sent it to you this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I found
about mental health.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huge study.
Fascinating.
Here's what they found.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Exercise was 1.5 times more effective than meds or therapy for mild to moderate depression.
Meds and therapy, right?
Yeah.
Wild.
For depression.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I bet you.
I don't know why this seems so painfully obvious forever for me.
I think people
did you see the clip? I don't know if you guys saw this clip too. I just saw our buddy Chris Williamson on Pierce Morgan's show, and Pierce asked him, mental health or physical health first, and Chris said physical first. Yeah. And he says downstream comes the mental health.
That's
and
right.
Pierce disagreed. He says, "Oh no, I think we have a bigger crisis with mental health." And Chris did a really good job of articulating why it's hard to think your way out of mental depression.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
in fact, one of the hallmarks of depression is thinking about yourself too much.
Right. Yeah. So it's like you just go deeper down the rabbit hole versus go take a walk. Just get out and go walk and move, and then watch that. Change your state of mind, and then build on top of that. It's actually far easier to do the physical thing than it is to mentally think yourself out of depression.
Well,
so I agree.
Look at modern society. Okay, we live in the most.
How we segment both of those, though.
We live in the most therapized time in human history. There are more therapists, more counselors, more meds for depression and anxiety being prescribed today than ever before. And yet anxiety and depression are at all-time highs since we started recording it. Now, I believe it's multifactored. However, I don't think it's a coincidence that we're also the least healthy physically than we've ever been. And you see this especially with younger people. Yeah. So, the whole oh my God, I'm depressed, I'm gonna go to the gym. And then people be like, no, you need counseling, you need therapy. I think it's a terrible way of looking at things. Like literally going to the gym, one of the best things you can do. If you're depressed, work out. It's one of the best things you can do.
Well, it's like, why don't we look at our brain? Like our body's an extension of our brain.
Yeah. Our brain is in our body.
The whole thing is one thing.
Well, there's a few.
So, it's silly to me to just compartmentalize it and be like, well, let's just work on our mental health.
Yeah. There's a few things.
Everything else is affected.
And there's a few ways to look at this. Like, we know inflammation is indicated in depression, brain inflammation. We also know that doing hard things and overcoming and challenging yourself helps with depression. We also know that improved muscle function, muscle health releases these these chemicals that make you feel better. We know that obesity or lots of body fat actually releases chemicals that make you feel not so good. Like, I mean, there's so many reasons why this works. And now we have a study that shows that, because the previous study showed that exercise was as effective. This one's showing it's 1.5 times. I agree.
Yeah.
You take medication, you're going to get some effects. Some people don't, but some people get effects. But then you get you can get build tolerance. You get side effects. SSRIs have sexual side effects, for example, which can cause its own type of issues.
Yeah.
You know what happens to your sexual health when you start to become more fit? It gets better.
Yeah.
In fact, everything gets better.
Yeah.
Every part of you gets better as you become more fit and healthy.
You know, we talked shit about Andrew Tate recently, but I have to give him his flowers on this because it was one of the way. This is actually the way I found him years ago. It was actually giving a young man with depression recommendation, and if he of course does it in a very brutal, blunt, unapologetic way, but it basically told the kid, like, go build some abs, go get fit, like, don't worry, don't try and think your way out of this mental depression and stuff like that. Go to the gym, go work out, and then call me after you have abs and tell me if you're still depressed.
Now, I want to address that, right? The happiness that comes from fitness is not because you look better.
No.
It's not because it's
because he set a goal and he accomplished it.
That's right.
That's what,
you become healthier.
But it's so simplified.
Yes.
Right. It's just like, it's not overcomplicating the process. But what it isn't. Oh, I look at myself in the mirror and I'm not depressed now because I'm jacked. It's because I set a goal. It was a small goal first. Go to the gym or go walk, whatever it was, and then I accomplished it. And then I said, hey, I'm going to eat a little bit better, and then I accomplished it. And it's the stacking of those goals and those wins that is what results in the coming out of depression. It's not the physical, but it was one of the first ways I ever found any of his content. I thought I like that advice for young men, because we have a lot of young men that are suffering from depression and anxiety. And I think if they would, instead of trying to think their way out of it or think I lack purpose and I don't know what my purpose, it's like, go work out, go start. And if you can't lift yet, that seems too much. Go walk.
Do something.
Yeah, go walk, go move, and then slowly build on that. And then look back in 6 months after you've set those goals, you've kept those promises to yourself. Because I think that has a lot to do with it too, is keeping promises that you've made to yourself.
That's right.
and what that does to you psychologically.
Yeah, what you end up confirming to yourself is that I can do something and I'm getting better. I remember training kids, high school kids. I remember one in particular, his parents hired me to train him because he was struggling in school and he was self-conscious about his body. And there was one particular story where he wore a t-shirt to the pool and then he got made fun of, type of deal. So they hired me to train him, and I'll never forget, we worked out and I could tell right away, like, oh, I'm going to be like an older brother to him. So this is how I'm going to approach this type of deal. And I remember we did one workout. We did some very basic exercises. One of the exercises was push-ups. I saw him, I don't remember, like 4 days later, and I tracked all this. And I remember the impact it had on him. He did push-ups again. He gets up and he's just, he's still kind of whatever. And I said, hey, do you know what you just did? He's like, no. I said, you did 10 push-ups. He's like, okay. I said, do you know what you did last time? He goes, no. I said, you did 8 push-ups. He's like, I did. I said, yeah, do you know what that means? He goes, no. I said, you are fundamentally different. You couldn't do 10 push-ups last time. You could only do 8. You did 2 more. Your body is not the same as it was. I remember watching the look on his face, like, I'm not the same. Yeah. I'm different now. Yeah. It's extremely powerful. So I hope this becomes, part of how we treat people for depression.
It's weird that we don't, especially when we have studies like that say how much more beneficial it is that wouldn't be part of every therapist's protocol. And even at the level, like I said, I understand that why there's that barrier for like squatting and deadlifting, because the average person may not be able to just go right to that. And the doctor is not going to take the liability of saying, go to the gym and go squat. But it's like, why wouldn't it be like, go for a daily walk? Or why would it not be some sort of physical activity?
Yeah, I think part of it is, and I do think I think therapy is valuable also, so I'm not saying it's not valuable, but I do think part of the desire with therapy is, let me understand myself and understand why I feel this way, or understand my trauma. Okay, so that's what they'll do, right?
Yeah, but you've also addressed this and talked about it. Jordan Peterson talks about this. Like, for women, that is far more useful than for the average male.
Well, for men, you're right. There's definitely a difference between the genders. But my point with this is, rather than trying to understand it and break it down and think about it, which I think there's value there too, what if you became a person who was stronger, more fit, and more confident? Now that previous challenge is, you are not the same. Now this is something I feel like I can handle. I feel capable now, rather than trying to focus so much on it and think about it so much. I agree with that statement you said earlier. You can't think your way out of depression. I think you have to become someone that is no longer depressed.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Yeah. So anyway,
and overall healthier. It's not going to hurt the process at all.
Yes. Yeah. Another. I'm excited because we have a new partner with a supplement, a compound that I've known about for a long time, but now we have a really, really reliable partner. So, are you guys familiar with Manuka honey and its benefits?
No, but I've been looking forward to this discussion because I was totally unaware of it, and I didn't realize that there was I knew that there was a difference in where you get the honey from where the bees are. Like, for example, my neighbor is right next to me, and so for my allergies, it makes sense that I would get from him. It's one of the best places. It's local and close to me. But I had no idea that there was levels to this honey game.
Well, honey's fascinating.
It was different.
It's fascinating to begin with. So you guys know honey doesn't go bad, right?
Yeah,
you can leave it out.
They found it, like ancient Egypt. And
you can eat it.
Yeah, they found something you actually eat. It's been stored that long.
Bacteria doesn't grow in honey. Manuka honey is the most antimicrobial, antibacterial. In fact, you could put it on wounds, and they do in some places. They'll put it on burns and wounds, and it'll heal the body. Wow. When you eat it, it has this beneficial effect on your microbiome, actually helping good bacteria and killing bad bacteria. And the Manuka honey, there's a compound in there called MGO. What does that stand for, Doug?
Methylgloxal.
Okay. Methylgloxal has these anti-inflammatory effects in the body, kind of these healing effects. And Manuka honey is exceptionally high in it. The company that we're working with, Manukora, has the highest I've ever seen measured. It's through the roof. It's like quadruple what you'll find in other Manuka honey.
So these different bees, I know this is from New Zealand, correct? And is this how's this different than other honeys?
It's what they pollinate and how they make it that makes it specifically. So it comes from New Zealand. So it's a very specific type of honey.
It has a different texture to it too.
It does.
Yeah. It's really good.
It is. Yeah. I like it so that little packet you ate, I believe is 6 grams of sugar, if I'm not mistaken. Look at the. Can you read that? Old man Adam.
No, bro. It's bro, I look like Justin right
spectacles
now.
here.
It's look how tiny it is. It's super tiny.
I know. That's changed in the last 5 years.
Monocle.
Do you have your glasses, dude?
No, bro. That's not. I'm not that. I'm actually not that bad. Here we go. This is in real size here. So 21 calories.
Oh, I'm blind, dude.
And total sugar is 6 grams. Yeah, you hit it right. Yep.
So oral use can help with gum inflammation. So it can help with with mouth microbiome. Regular consumption can reduce rates of illness. It seems to be antiviral.
So go back to. I'm sorry, I don't know if I missed it when you're saying because I was trying to take this. So explain because I know that does all honey have MGO and this is 850 plus MGO it says.
Yes, you're not going to find Manuka. First of all, if
because I thought I heard Doug say Costco even carries this.
Yeah, but typically the numbers are down around 60 or 80.
That's
MGO.
right.
So 60 to 80 MGO. This is 850.
I've never seen one this high. 250 plus is high. The fact that they've got this high.
And this is what's the most beneficial part of this.
That's the anti-cancer, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory. That's the stuff in honey.
Makes it more medicinal at that point.
Very medicinal. So because it's so 21. How many grams of sugar is one packet? Was it 6?
6.
Yeah. Post-workout, you have 1 or 2 of those. You have a little extra sugar with your protein, and then you'll get the anti-inflammatory effects from it. It's perfect. It's great.
Super interesting.
Yeah. So when we got them, when they send me those samples, I looked at it, looked it up, and I saw their MGO rating. I was like, holy cow. I know, like I said, 250 is hard to find.
Yeah.
250 is really good.
850.
850.
So you're talking about some of the highest you've ever seen. It's four times that.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I'll have it now post workout. I'll have a couple of those with some, protein shake or something like that for.
Now, are they concentrating that anymore to get it to that level, or does it come naturally?
No, it comes from where they get it.
Wow.
Yeah. So
interesting.
It makes it exclusive. Again, you'd have to eat 5 or 6 times as much of other ones.
Right. And then you're taking in
way more sugar.
400 calories or whatever like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Super cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool, right?
That is cool. That's very cool.
Did you guys see the study that Dr. Lyon sent to us?
I sent that one already too. I was curious to hear your breakdown. Now, this is just more of what she's already been researching and touting for a while now, right? She's the first one to really break the news to us that that there is a difference in muscle quality, right? It's not just about muscle, it's muscle quality. And this is a deeper dive on that.
It is. So
correct?
she did this with a bunch of other researchers. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon's amazing. She's like at the forefront of,
I love her.
Like how muscle is this organ that is so closely connected to longevity, which now is not even, nobody debates this. Like we know this, right? Here's the title of the study. This was just published on the 20th of July. The title says, "Exploring the link between muscle quality and erectile dysfunction, assessing the impact of mass and strength." And so what they find is that skeletal muscle mass and strength contribute independently to healthy sexual function through metabolic and endothelial mechanisms. Endothelial meaning your blood vessels, the health of your blood vessels. So strength train and you get better boners, basically. And weak muscles
Makes
probably
sense.
not so good.
I wonder how is it like a immediate? Because it feels like, so remember when I went through that process? God, it's been like 6 years now. I don't remember how long ago. When I came off of testosterone, I tried to go back and you had me on all the things, right? All the natural supplements to try and to boost it, get back. And I told you that of everything that I had done, nothing felt, at least from a libido standpoint, more than just a good day of lifting heavy.
Yeah.
Like I remember that if I had 2 or 3 days I hadn't lifted yet, like just feeling this just totally down. Sex drive was down, motivation, energy was down. And the greatest spike, and by the way, it wasn't crazy because I was at the floor, it felt like, but compared to that, it felt like a lot. I would do a squat session, and it wasn't even crazy intensity. It was just lifting heavy weights, and then literally the next day to 48 hours, I felt that increase.
I always thought that with myself and clients is that, that phase one type, like the low reps as well. And like, just like focusing on that grinding strength, like it made a difference with appetite and libido.
Yeah.
Remember Sal used to sell MAPS Anabolic that way?
Yeah,
That's right. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
we used
A
to
lot of
say.
people say that phase one, it makes them.
There's a lot of feedback constantly like
We
that.
constantly get that. So there's an acute effect that happens, and I think it's just the feel good chemicals that come from exercise. But then there's a long-term effect where you have your blood vessels dilate better, blood flow is better, your metabolic health is better. Poor metabolic health is very closely correlated with erectile dysfunction, like obesity, weakness. They can show in studies grip strength and associate it to sexual health. So that's what they're showing. So long term, it's great. And look, if you build more muscle, you have more opportunities to have sex too. So it's a nice
Weak boners. I guess. Don't have weak, pathetic boners.
they go together.
I like that. I like that. I want to bring up, I know we don't know a lot about it, but I'm just curious because I'm interested in this. I saw Goob do a video, and he's bringing up this supplement called 7OH that is exploding right now.
Dangerous.
And I had no idea about it. He basically kind of like, went undercover at like one of these and they're selling them at these like marijuana conventions where there's THC, cannabis, and also like that, and kratom. And it's like, it looked like 80% of the boosts now are related to the 7OH. So I'm like, dude, I had never even heard of this.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
And it's like, if I understand it correctly, it's like an extract from kratom. So it's like, if you know what kratom feels like, because it pairs with the opiate receptor. So it's like if I were to compare kratom to like say a pharmaceutical, I would say, it is a very, very mild version of like a Vicodin or a Percocet, mild version. But if you take enough of them, you get a similar type of effect. But it's quite a bit of this, natural leaf you have to take to get a similar effect on the opiate receptors. Now this 7OH is like significantly stronger.
They said it's stronger than fentanyl.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, they found a loophole in the law off what you said.
This is over the counter?
For now.
Yeah,
it'll
for
get
now.
banned.
But RFK, supposedly this video that Goob did got so much traction, shares, DMs of people saying like, yes, I know a lot of people that are wildly addicted to it. They tagged RFK like crazy, and literally within 24 hours, he was making a news announcement about trying to go after
They found a loophole because they found a natural compound in a natural plant, and then they concentrated the hell out of it and turned it into a pharmaceutical. And because the laws don't say this is illegal, they can get away with selling it.
Right.
And so now people can buy this apparently this chemical that's stronger than fentanyl, which is crazy because fentanyl's causing so many people to OD.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's wild.
How quickly it turned into, I must have seen 20 or more of these booths that he was going around to, and they all were just different versions of it. Branded.
And they were all, it was funny what they were saying too, undercover. They were like, yeah, I mean, you don't want to tell people you're selling it, but you have it. And if they ask for it, make sure that they're not like a police officer. Yeah. I'm like, oh God, that whole
Well, I remember
they're going to get all supplements banned.
Suspect.
I mean, we had multiple opportunities to work with a kratom company, and we weren't okay with advertising it. Even though it's a natural leaf, even though I've openly talked about taking it and stuff, it's not something that I would ever want to promote to people because of its addictive properties.
Sure.
And
it doesn't even come close to pharmaceutical.
Yeah, it's not at all. And so that's just it. Is there's
but now they're going. This is scary.
Yeah,
what they're doing.
Yeah,
it's crazy what they do. It's like what they've done with cannabis.
Making a super strong THC.
You can buy 1,000 milligram edibles
or whatever. Yeah,
you can buy 1,000 milligram edibles. You'd never be able to get 1,000.
Yeah, why?
Because people turn it
because there's a very, very, very small percentage of people that it makes sense to. Somebody who is like can't move, and it's like doing that instead of taking morphine or taking Oxycontin.
I doubt it. I think it's people who just hammer themselves.
Listen. When I lurked in the clubs, I saw that. Were you talking about 1%?
Was it epilepsy?
Yes, stuff like that. Like really bad cases.
But back when you were doing this was what? Was it 10, 11, 12 years ago, 13 years ago?
More than that. It was 13 years ago.
Okay. I don't think you guys had back then 1,000 milligram THC.
Oh yeah.
1,000? Even back then?
Yeah, no, we had
really?
that was, this was part of the problem I had with it was people were making some of this stuff, homemade versions of edibles like that.
They're trying to see if you could die.
Yeah, what they call like the Death Star.
And really what I saw, and this is why I didn't sleep well, and it wasn't like I wasn't excited about this career path, was that 90% of the people buying it were not people that I thought like it made sense to take 1,000 milligrams of that. It was people trying to get fucked up, and that's like, and when you try and go make yourself feel good, it's like, oh, but there are that one client that came in that crazy chronic pain, and they're trying to avoid taking Oxycontins and some of these pharmaceuticals, and it's like, okay, that makes sense to me, but that's not.
They'll ban it. It'll be banned soon because there's no way. If it's that strong, there's no way. In the 90s, GHB you could buy at a supplement store.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. In the 90s.
Like the real stuff?
GHB. Now, I didn't know about it because I don't know how I didn't know about it. I knew all about supplements, and thank God. But GHB, if you look at its history, bodybuilders would take GHB for better sleep.
Yep.
Okay. GHB is I think people use it for date rape drug.
Yeah. That's what it's on the street. It's known for that for the average consumer, but bodybuilders.
And they had to ban it because people were buying it at the
bodybuilders would use it to take these little micro naps throughout the day. I don't know if I've told you the story. I don't think you and I have probably talked about it off air, but when I first got introduced to it or knew what it was, I was 22. And I had this jacked bodybuilder counselor that was working with us, and he used to take it. And it was so powerful and strong. Not kidding. He would be at his desk, like making phone calls, and then just fall asleep.
I know who you're talking about.
You just.
I know who you're talking about.
He'd be like snoring, like sitting there with the phone like this, and just 2 minutes ago, I heard him talking, and then just like out like that. That's how powerful.
I know who that is. You know why? You know how I know who that is? He worked for me, and I had to fire him.
Oh wow!
Because that's what was happening. I'm like, why is he? I had no idea what's going on. Is he on drugs?
I didn't know what it was either, and then I found out what it was, and I was like, what? And then I found out it was like used as a date rape drug, but the bodybuilders were using it to get this because I forget what it does to your sleep cycle, but it jumps you like right into REM. Something like that. It hijacks you right to REM, and then you're getting like this deep recovery sleep, like within like minutes or something. If I'm describing
the supplement industry is hilarious. In the 90s and early 2000s, you could also buy steroids over the counter because they would take chemicals that
just
were
change one molecule.
Well, no, not even that. What they did, it's actually brilliant on their part from a money perspective, but obviously the integrity wasn't there. They were going through discarded anabolic steroid chemicals from pharmaceutical companies. So pharmaceutical companies were studying to come up with the next anabolic steroid in the 70s, right, 80s. And then they discard it. No, this is not as good as this, or for whatever reason. Maybe it causes too much liver damage, too many side effects, whatever. And so supplement companies went through these files and they're like, oh, look at this. And it's not explicitly banned.
Yeah.
We could sell this. So you could buy Superdrol was one of them. Superdrol today, okay, by the way, power lifters buy Superdrol in the black market because they like it better than some of the stronger old school steroids.
Yeah.
1-methyl test was another one. And of course, I'm an impressionable kid.
Yeah.
And they called them quote unquote pro hormones. Pro hormone meaning it, they were just like a safer version. And I would go to whatever that supplement store was. What's it called? Max Muscle.
Oh, you're throwing one of the
Oh, whatever, dude. And I'd buy them. And I remember as a kid, I mean, it worked, obviously. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting big. What's going on?
Well,
I was taking steroids.
for at least a decade and a half, maybe 2 decades. That was the game. That was the cat and mouse game.
Yep.
And it was literally, and I remember talking to guys that own these supplement shops that they were very aware, and this is what the cycle looked like, was like, we put this thing out, we know it's basically steroids, we're going to call it pro hormones. Yeah. We know eventually it will get banned. It's going to get so popular. We sell millions of dollars in it. It'll eventually get they'll wake up everybody. Then they'll go, oh my God, they'll ban it. Then what they'll do is
the next one.
They'll put it under the counter.
Oh, I remember.
They put it under the counter.
Yeah, you got to ask for it.
And so you got to ask for it until they sell out that stock. Meanwhile, the next one was coming. That was, again, off that list. And that was just this game they all played. And it was like a slap on the wrist because it wasn't illegal yet.
Yeah.
And so
they had to pass laws to make them explicitly illegal.
And so you had a window that and then of course the way something like when you're young, dumb kids like I was, and probably you in your 20s,
you
like
say probably for sure.
The ones that you heard were the strongest or the banned ones or the ones that you wanted. Like, and so it became a thing where you just walk in someone's store and say like, hey, what do you got on the counter right now? Like, what's the latest thing? And it's like, oh, I've got 4 of these left. They'll sell them.
Some of them are crazy because then, as an adult,
I had worse side effects than I ever did from any anabolic steroid.
Rejected ones.
Yes, bro. I had more side effects from that than I had from any
bro, that's why they discarded them.
Yeah.
That's why they got rid. I remember because I would stack. Though this is the stack. So not only are you taking one that's not great for your liver, but they're like, here, take it with these other 2, and you feel great for 6 weeks. Then you feel like, oh, why do I feel like garbage?
Yeah,
probably causing some damage.
What was the one that recently came about, and we found out a lot of CrossFitters were using it, and other people in the industry were promoting it for a while. Then I haven't heard much about it in a long time. Know. God, what's the name of it?
Yeah, which one was that? It was in the CrossFit community, huh?
Yeah, but it wasn't a steroid. It was a God damn, what's the name of it? Yeah,
recovery related. Do you know what it was related? Or was it? It wasn't hormone. It was something else.
It wasn't a hormone. It wasn't a peptide. It was gray market for sure.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, did you know?
Don't come to me.
Okay, so you guys know these myostatin inhibiting drugs that they're studying, right? There's that one crazy study where they took monkeys and.
By the way, we have Seed tomorrow, right?
Dr. Seeds?
Yes.
He'll come in. I'm going to ask him about this.
I can't wait to talk about this.
So they had this one study I talked about in a previous episode where they took monkeys and they took a bunch of groups of monkeys. One of the groups of monkeys, they put them on a GLP-1 plus a myostatin and an activin inhibitor.
This was such a fascinating study.
And they put them on a calorie-restricted diet, and the monkeys lost body fat and gained a ridiculous amount of muscle. Monkeys aren't lifting weights. They're just building muscle. So our trainer, Cole, which I love, Cole is very much like I was at his age, just not nearly as stupid. He's which thank God. And maybe it's because he's got, guys like us who can help talk him down. But he sends me a picture. He's like, hey, you could buy a myostatin inhibitor as a research chemical right now. I'm like, what? You know how much it costs?
How much?
$30,000 a month.
Shut your face.
But you can actually buy it right now.
That's wild.
He's all $30,000 a month. And we started laughing about it. But I'm like, this is crazy.
That's the study that Israel brought up, right?
That is.
Yeah, that's the one we're going to talk to Seed about. I'm really excited to talk about that because I do want to be in front of this.
Yes.
Because
he said to us, spoiler alert, but he'll break it down. He's like, that's not the same. It's not healthy muscle. It's like you're heavier.
Yeah.
So you basically have more but unhealthy muscle, which is probably more like just weight on your body.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I know. Really.
SARMs.
Oh, SARMs. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's really annoying. I couldn't remember that.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about a category. That's like a whole
Yeah,
category.
it's a
There's
whole
a bunch
category of
of
its own.
there's a whole bunch of stuff. You know, it does seem like that's kind of, and maybe that's because of the rise with all the great peptides that are out now. They've kind of fallen out of favor.
Yeah, I haven't heard about them at
They
all.
were really, really
Do
popular.
you know one of the side effects of, because I remember when SARMs first came out, and this, again, I was in my 20s, so, of course, I was looking them up and reading about them. Do you know what one of the side effects of one of the more stronger, quote unquote, SARMs was back then?
Grow a limb or a tail?
No. It affected your vision.
Oh yeah, I did hear that.
Where people are like, oh, I can't see as well.
Yeah.
That's a terrible side effect. That's terrible.
And then what it highlights
blind spots and-
Bro, you're
highlights
jacked. I don't know.
young
You wanna
teenage-
mess with your vision?
Young teenage boys like, I'll get glasses.
Yeah. No.
Gained 2 inches on my arm, dude.
No, the vision symptoms were like everything starts to look like it's a yellow tint,
Oh my
and then I
God.
can't see at night. Night
my
vision goes
God.
away. I'm like, that's not good, bro.
Yeah, I don't know
I don't
if
care how
that's a
jacked
good
it
idea.
makes you.
Oh my
I
God.
know.
So funny.
I know. What are you gonna do? Anyway, hey, I gotta tell you, I've eaten recently. I love doing this because I can always feel the contrast. Recently, I've been eating because we had people over, so we bought a bunch of just big grocery store tri-tips, not grass-fed, not grass-finished, right? And I've been eating a lot. I could really tell a difference when I go.
Between Butcher Box and them.
I can,
Yeah.
not just the taste. I like, of course, the fattier one. It's all tasty and stuff like that, the conventional one. But I feel more inflamed. I feel more inflamed. It doesn't feel as and it's the fatty acid profile. It has to be.
I've been tripping out since the last Butcher Box commercial we did because you brought up the whole chicken thigh thing. I had no idea, and we had
They're leaner and more protein.
yeah we had the Butcher Box chicken thighs last. Katrina made this really good, and I know people are.
I saw you guys eating it.
She did this Greek like not dessert Greek sauce. It's basically like Greek yogurt and
Is it tzatziki?
I don't know if there's what the name was for it,
Okay.
but you drizzled it over the chicken thighs and rice and then
out there.
I know.
tomatoes and cilantro. It was, dude, bomb.
Yeah.
Super good. And I mean, all that it really was is Greek yogurt with some sort of seasoning in it and to drizzle over the chicken. So bumps the protein even more, gives it a little like sauce and flavor to it. And then you have the chicken thighs from there. But now I'm paying attention. I just assumed that the chicken thighs were the same, but
No, Greek. If you go with the Butcher Box chicken thighs and the grass-fed meat, same size, same ounces, higher protein, less calories because the fatty acid profile is different.
yeah, what a great
less
selling
fat.
point. I had no idea about that.
Lower your calories, eat the same amount of food, get
Yeah,
more protein.
yeah.
Why not? All right, so we are here at Mind Pump looking for interns for editing the show. So if you're interested in helping to edit our YouTube, podcast, our clips on social media, if you have some experience, contact us at info@mindpumpmedia.com. We're looking for and we're looking for 2 interns?
Yeah,
Or
but
just-
I also want to add though that you don't necessarily. It's very similar to when we made the call for trainers. I mean, we're looking for character more than we're looking for
Yes.
experience.
You can be trained for sure.
In fact, I mean, most of our editing team was trained in house here, so it's more the willingness to learn and want to grow.
And you understand our message.
the message and the purpose of the business. That is far more important than years of editing experience. And so but you have to be willing to want to do that. And it does take a special person that like is down to sit in front of a computer and edit and cut stuff up. So that's important.
But you're in here. You're in Mind Pump Studio, so we'll see you on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So you got to be here in San Jose to do this.
On top of that, since you're bringing up stuff kind of like news for us, we've just released the 3rd episode on Elite Trainer Academy on YouTube. So it's on it's on Spotify.
This is our podcast hosted by Kyle, who's our head trainer, and it's just for trainers.
Yeah, specific to trainers. It's all things related
Hidden
to
trainer content.
Yeah, being a better trainer, everything from, exercise stuff to programming to business, and we started off with Kyle interviewing the 3 of us, but the goal is to reach out to other professionals that is really for trainers to get better. And so if you guys are not subscribed and following that already, if you guys go over to the YouTube channel or the Spotify or podcast, anywhere you can find a podcast. And the best thing you guys can do to help support that is just, if you like it and find it valuable, subscribe and share.
Seed is the world's best probiotic. Probiotics are great for digestion, inflammation, and now we have all these studies showing they improve athletic performance, muscle building. They may actually help with fat loss. This is what the studies are showing. You want to use a probiotic, go with Seed. Go to seed.com/mindpump. Use the code 25mindpump. Get 25% off your first month's order of their daily symbiotic. Back to the show.
First question is from Jack Mack. I am a CrossFitter who is about to become a new dad. How do I balance getting the most out of my workouts without overwhelming my soon-to-be overly stressed body?
Stop CrossFitting.
Yeah, don't do CrossFit. That's probably not the best way to work out when you're going to lose sleep.
There's the first obvious.
And you got to really balance out stress, and exercise is a stress on the body. The best program that I think by far is MAPS 15 for someone like this. 2 exercises a day. 2 exercises a day. You don't need to make a lot of time for it, and it won't overwhelm your body. Like, one of the worst things you could do, and this happens to dads, by the way. This happens to a lot of men. You're about to become a dad, and I get it. I have 4 kids myself. Every guy I know that has kids that really cares about their kids or cares about being a good dad, you get this sudden drive to become the best at everything. It's like, okay, that's
accomplish everything.
I'm having kids. I'm going to work twice as hard at work. I need to earn more money. I'm going to get super fit. I want to be the jack dad. I want to do, and it's just too much. It's too much all at once. It takes away from your family. You burn yourself out. You get hurt, whatever. Not a good idea. With exercise, think in this case, like, this is a season. What can I do to kind of maintain my health? And it's very little.
Yeah.
It starts with not identifying yourself as a CrossFitter. That's a modality of training that is fun, and at certain times of your life could be a blast to work towards. But you should not identify yourself as a CrossFitter. You're somebody who likes to do CrossFit, and it made sense where you were at maybe 6 months or a year ago in your life, and fun, and the community's awesome and all the things. That's great about it. Now you have different priorities in your life. Therefore, you change the modality of training. And so you do something that's more appropriate and beneficial to you than trying to squeeze in your CrossFit-like workouts. And so, and you'll learn this lesson one way or the other. So you'll either learn it and take heed to what we're saying, and then change your programming to something that's more. I mean, like MAPS 15 is what I love.
The protocol we created specifically for this type of environment and situation.
Yeah.
You have to adjust and tailor your training to meet the demands and stress levels that you're going to face.
And then maybe you get back to your CrossFit workouts down the road some other time when he gets in school or she gets in school, and you got more free time and you got better sleep, but just not the appropriate type of training at that place in your life. And so hopefully you listen to it. If not, what happens to people like this is they do it anyways. And then they end up getting hurt, because one of the number one ways to increase risk of injury is poor sleep. And so that's one of the most common things when having a baby.
Next question is from Peter Unofficial. What's a good amount of water to drink a day?
This is interesting, because there's sometimes a bit of controversy around this. There is essential water intake, and then there's optimal water intake. So essential water intake's pretty easy to hit. Drink when you're thirsty, and you're probably going to be okay. You're probably not going to have any issues with drinking too little water. Optimal is more than that. In my experience, with people who are active and strength trained, high protein diet, it's typically around a half a gallon to a gallon every single day. In my experience, especially with people who strength train intensely and regularly, when they can work up to a gallon and then stay consistent with a gallon, we tend to see exceptional results. We see more muscle fullness, better recovery, less cravings, better skin, less pain. Less pain, that's a big one. So this is what I tend to recommend to people. But if you're way below this, going from really low to a gallon is going to overwhelm you. So work your way up. But again, half a gallon to a gallon is what I found for most people.
I try to keep that pee clear. That's
actually a really good generic way to do it, is that if you have bright colored pee, I mean, obviously right after you take supplements, that happens.
Vitamins or something.
But I mean, you still, even after that, you should keep drinking until you get to a place where it's clear. I used to love even that as a generic recommendation. But I'm with you, Sal. I've found that my clients, again, big fan of if you've never tracked a track, because what I think is most common is people think they drink a lot of water the first time I have them track, and they're nowhere near even a half a gallon. And so getting my clients to about a half a gallon to a gallon, depending on how big you are, seems to be really good for most people. That's obviously a generic answer, but I'd start with actually tracking and seeing how low you already are, because I think that's more common as people, oh yeah, I drink a lot of water, because they can think of that 1 or 2 glasses they had in the day. And so they just assume they have a lot of water, and they don't. So there are more optimal levels, and it seems to fall somewhere between that half gallon, a gallon.
Yeah. And adding electrolytes to your water when you drink that much much water makes sense. If you sweat and work out and you're not having enough sodium, and then you start drinking a gallon, you can actually cause issues like muscle cramps. So I do recommend people add like a packet of elements, about 1,000 milligrams of sodium with all of that, and that should be enough in combination with your food to prevent that from happening.
Next question is from My Little Workout Diary. How can I deal with delayed onset muscle soreness? I've quit lifting several times because I just got tired of being sore all the time. Case in point, I did the very first session of MAPS 15 last Monday, which has Bulgarian split squats, could barely walk for 2 days, and I'm still dreading going down the stairs 6 days later.
It was too much.
Too much weight.
Yeah.
Probably could have done your body weight.
Yep. Hey, listen, here's the thing, okay? I don't care what your workout is. I don't care how little it is or how little you think it is. If you get this sore, it's too much. Now, there could be a few things contributing to this. One, deconditioned. So I could take somebody who's who does no strength training, and if we did one intense, semi-intense, not to failure, but like normal intense set of Bulgarian split stance squats, they'll be sore for 4 days. Okay, so number one, are you deconditioned? Number two, are you feeding yourself appropriately? Are you eating enough proteins and fats, both essential or your calories, where they should be? That makes a big difference. Are you hydrating? Are you getting good sleep? But at the end of the day, even MAPS 15, which has low volume, here's what you do with MAPS 15. Cut your intensity in half.
Yeah.
So when you're doing the exercises, rather than doing them till they're hard, just do them and then go to the next exercise, just like you're practicing them. If you get a little bit of soreness, that's okay. If you get no soreness, that's great. That's how you should feel after the workout.
Yeah, even in split stance, sometimes you got to regress to, a regular squat, and you got to do like a body weight squat as opposed, maybe your body's just not ready to handle that, that type of stability demand. So it's just scaling it appropriately. So even when the exercises are demanding this, like, got to know how to kind of taper it down so it's not so intense for you.
Anytime that I have a break from lifting consistently, which I frequently do this, where I take a month off or whatever, every time I come back, I get better and better at
gauging
the right intensity. And it blows my mind how little effort I have to put into the workout when I haven't been doing it for just a month. So if this is somebody who can relate to that, where it's been a month or a lot longer, boy, you do not have to put hardly any weight on the bar, just going through the movements.
You just go through the motions.
Yeah, going through the movements many times with an unloaded bar or just your body weight is plenty of intensity to send that signal and to send the signal to build muscle, to adapt. And again, this is where I always go back to the do as little as possible to elicit the most amount of change. Is like, there's no reason for you to be that sore. You're not getting any more benefit.
You're getting less.
Yeah, exactly. And so but also don't beat yourself up. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've been over applying intensity every time I come back for a very long time. It's taken a long time for me to hone in. Like, wow, I barely got to do anything.
It just happened to you the other day. Adam's a guy who squatted 400 pounds, ass to grass, and he took a long break. I think it was like a month, maybe. And you did squats with 135.
Yeah.
Which even in a deconditioned state was light for you.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't like you were working out.
Yeah.
You were just doing the motions.
Yep.
He comes back to work the next day. He's like, man, I am so sore.
Yep.
Just from doing that. So, and I had to learn this lesson so many times over before I figured it out with clients. Like, I'd get a new client who didn't work out, and I think I'm taking them through a light workout. And then I talk to them the next day, and they're like, oh my God, I can't get up off the couch or the toilet. And I remember thinking like, but we barely did anything. Yeah. What's going on here? And I scaled it so far back, I really started to get good at this, to the point where this is what it looked like with a beginner with me. We would do a workout, and this is what they would always say at the end of it. That's it?
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing? I say, yep, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's just start there. And you progress.
Yep.
You progress little by little.
Something to build off of.
That's right. So when you do this, if you follow this and you do it right, here's how you should feel. You should feel good. You should feel like that wasn't enough. The next day, maybe a little bit of soreness. That's how you know. And it's about the intensity. So MAPS 15 is a good amount of volume. Make it super easy. Go through the motions.
Yep.
Do that for the first few weeks before you start to ramp up the intensity, and you'll progress the entire time.
Yep.
Next question is from Pharmacy and Pumps. What would an everyday full body weightlifting routine look like?
Oh, interesting. Who picked? You said you picked this?
Yeah, I picked it because I thought it would be a fun discussion for.
Like how would you program this?
Yeah. Like how would we program this out? The biggest thing to take into consideration, this is similar to the squat every day type of challenge that people do, and we've talked about that before. Like, oh, what do we think? Well, I think that people see huge results from it, but the challenge to this question and that question is learning how to modify intensity. It's a great follow-up to the question that we just answered, because this is an example of how this could go wrong really fast, is over applying. I think there's a tremendous value in practicing these full body movements every single day, but you really only need 1, maybe 2 of those days at most that you would consider moderately hard.
That's right.
The rest of it's more like just going through the motions in practice.
Totally.
And so that's the most important thing to consider here. And I think if you actually did this, you'd see great benefits. The problem is most people, just like the last person that we just answered, don't know how to really under apply the intensity. They'll overdo it, and then they're just constantly sore. And you're not going to reap the benefits from it.
I can faster overtrain someone with intensity than I can with volume. With the right intensity, I could do a lot of volume. I could have people do all kinds of volume. Here's what it would look like: an everyday weightlifting routine. 1 or 2 of them is a workout. 1 or 2 of them you're training. 5 of them or 6 of them, you're just practicing the movements.
Yeah.
That's it. And you should feel like you're just practicing the movements.
I mean, a generic way to look at it sounds like
body weight.
You could literally take MAPS anabolic, and instead of 3 sets of everything, I'll probably do 2 sets of everything, and then I'll have 3 to 4 of those days, very, very moderately low intensity,
right.
and then 1 or 2 of those days,
That's right.
I kind of get after it a little bit. But then just go through, like, you could do that. You could take MAPS anabolic and just take no days off and just keep cycling through like that. But
most of them are easy.
But most of the workouts are really, really moderate
and you'd probably
to low
get
intensity.
great results.
You would.
Yeah.
I think if you could apply that correctly, if you could, just like the advice we just gave the last person, if you could approach the workout as just go through the movements, you want to feel them, but maybe a little bit of soreness next day, but you don't want to feel really, really sore. If you're really, really sore, that means you're over applying intensity. That means you're going to go backwards with that much volume, that much training, that frequently, at that high of intensity. So yeah, it could be done as simple as that, as following a MAPS anabolic with no days off. You just have to really modify intensity.
I had a trainer that, I've told this story before, but I had a trainer that worked for me, and he was exceptionally strong in the bench press. I don't remember what he did. It was like 4, I think it was one of the first times I saw someone bench 4 plates. And I used to watch, I general manager of the club, I'm there all day long, right? So I'm always there. I see what everybody's doing. And I would see this guy in between clients. He'd go out to the bench, he'd put some weight on the bar, and to me, it looked like he was messing around. And I thought, like, oh, he's bored, and he's out there just messing around with the weights. That's what it looked like. So then I asked him, I'm like, dude, I've seen you push like 4 plates. Like, what's your workout look like? He's like, oh, that's what my workout is. In between clients, I go out and I just kind of mess around. I'm like, but you're barely pushing yourself. He's like, ever since I've done that, my strength has gone through the roof. And it was just throughout the day, he'd go out and literally practice exercises. It was insane. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. Walking, it's one of the best things you could do for your health, bar none, but there's a better way to approach it. Yes, you can just walk, but if you follow the right protocol, it's far more effective. Let's talk about walking.
I can't wait to hear your walking protocol.
Well, there is. There is a protocol. So, and I'll start with the first thing, right? Because just first off, let me start with this. One of the reasons why walking is such a great form of just activity is because it's low risk of injury. Now, some